Hello, Mordimers here and welcome to another video about Kiev 1903 tournament. Today I'm gonna cover another game, and this time with the person who was second in this tournament. And as we know, Rubinstein was fifth. And the second player won with legendary Chigorin. However, that was not enough to get the first prize. But yeah, that was enough to get the second prize. Very good tournament, and as well, that was the first tournament of his life. Warm welcome for Ossip Bernstein, the age mate of Akiba Rubinstein, both of them born in 1882, so both of them were 21 years old when this game started. And I would like to tell you just some introduction who was Ossip Bernstein, because he was pretty important in the chess history. He was born in Zhytomyr, and that's in the Russian Empire at that time, Ukraine nowadays, and his family had a Jewish heritage. So Ossip Bernstein earned a doctorate in a law. So he was a financial lawyer, what is pretty important in his career. He was not only the good chess player, but also the financial lawyer. So now, cool story on, I'm gonna tell you the best story of his life. So in 1918, of course 15 years after this tournament, after the Bolshevik October Revolution, Bernstein was arrested in Odessa because he was an advisor to the bankers. And the firing squad lined up, and the officer asked to see the list of prisoners' names. And he saw Ossip Bernstein on the list. And he asked, "Hey, are you this famous chess player?" And yeah, Bernstein of course confirmed. So the officer said, "Okay, I played the chess with you. If I win or I drew, I'm gonna shoot you. You know, that's your fate anyway. But if you win, if you manage to win, you are free. Is that okay with you?" Okay, Bernstein didn't have much choice, and luckily for him, the officer was, he just knows some moves, so he lost very quickly, and Bernstein just escaped on the British ship to France. And about him, we know he was not only player, he was the lawyer, but he was also a successful businessman. So his first fortune he lost during the Bolshevik Revolution, of course. But once he settled in France, he made another fortune, and he lost all of that during the Great Depression. And then he made his third fortune again, and then he lost it again in 1940 when Germany invaded France. And as he couldn't stay in France, because Germans hunted Jews at that time and sent them to concentration camps, a lot of chess players also died in concentration camps, and that's another story. But he tried to escape to Spain through Pyrenees with his family. And the guards catch him, set up his family and him in different prisons, and he even have a heart attack in the age of 58 at that time, but he managed to survive. And when he was in the prison, some of his influential friends in Spain made intervention, and he could stay in Spain for the rest of the war, and he was released and could return to France in 1945, and he lived in Paris from that time. Interesting thing that for many years he was number one. So he played on the board number one in a lot of Olympic games for France, because he became a French citizen. And in 1954, very interesting thing happened. This is another cool story, so listen to that one. In 1954, if you calculate, he was 72 years old and he still played chess. So all his life, 50 years, over 50 years, he played chess on quite strong level. And in Montevideo, in Uruguay, he faced Miguel Najdorf. And on that tournament, he was second and third, ex aequo with Miguel Najdorf. But the interesting story happened. Najdorf protested that it was unfair to play such an aged opponent. And then he became so confident of victory that he convinced the tournament organizer to double the first prize money at the expense of reducing the payouts for the lesser prizes. So he was, you know, the favorite of that tournament. And actually, the gamble that backfired in a spectacular fashion, as Bernstein, who was 72 years old, won in 37 move in Old Indian Defense game, and he got the brilliancy prize in that tournament. So that's a pretty famous game and a pretty funny story, especially if you are interested in the stories like this. Okay. We're gonna start the game soon. Warm welcome to Ossip Bernstein, and soon after this tournament, and consistent for another 20 years, Bernstein in chess metrics get the ranking around 2600. But during this tournament, the chess metrics don't cover. So I believe he was slightly better than Akiba Rubinstein, as he got the second place and Rubinstein fifth. So let's give him estimated ranking 2450. And yeah, that's being said, a warm welcome for Akiba Rubinstein as well, who play white in this game. And Rubinstein open with e4. We have e5 by Bernstein, knight f3, knight c6, and we have d4, Scotch game. E captures on d4, knight d4, knight f6, and now there is, it's not really popular line which Rubinstein choose. After knight taking on c6 and pawn takes on c6, Rubinstein could play e5, which is the most popular nowadays game. It's a lot of games, 4,000 games in database I use. But Rubinstein play less popular bishop on d3. We have d5, e captures on d5, e captures on d5, and this continuation actually not really great for white. Black has pretty strong chances here. Rubinstein play castle. We have bishop e7, and now Rubinstein play the move which is really not popular in this game. So bishop on b5. The more popular would be c4, would be knight c3, maybe bishop f4. So normal developing moves. Rubinstein went for bishop on b5 and exchanged the light square bishops. So we have queen on d7, knight d2, and we have castle by Bernstein. b3, queen f5, bishop b2, bishop d6, and Rubinstein knight f3. So it's a pretty standard configuration, nothing really fancy. rook a on d8, preparing to strengthening the center, moving the rooks to the center. Rook e1, knight e4, finding the active outpost for the knight. And here we have queen d3. And queen d3 pins this knight. The knight cannot move now, as the queen is attacked. So Bernstein choose rook f on e8, strengthening that knight on e4. We have rook e2, preparing to double the rooks. Rook e6, something starting to go on this, as rook is moved to e6, so it's possible for some lifting and moving on the 6th rank. And Rubinstein play rook from a to e1, and in this position Bernstein play rook d on e8, and he allowed Rubinstein to play knight d4. So we have fork on the heavy pieces of Bernstein, and actually in this position feel free to pause the video and find the correct continuation for black, as black still is in the game. The game is not lost. It's like pretty okay for black. However, it's very complicated, so it's easy to make any mistake. As I enjoy my cup of tea. Okay, so correct continuation is queen play on h5, and keeping the pressure on h2. So white wouldn't have much choice. They would have to play h3, and after knight on c5, attacking the queen. And now keep in mind that we have triple attack on this rook. So this is something white have to consider. White have to play probably somewhere around, yeah. So queen on b5 would be more active, as the 8th rank of black is pretty weak. So there are some lines we are pretty interesting here. So for example, if black play rook on e2 and knight takes on e2, everything would be okay. Everything would be okay for both players. Probably black can play something like f6, giving defense to the rook, and the game just continues. But if you would try different line in this situation as white, I'm telling you now why it's very sharp line, and black has to really be careful. If they play something like a6 and want to move this queen, because this queen now can't move here, because this is controlled, and this is controlled also. d3 and c4 are controlled, and if they move anywhere else, then they're gonna lose the rook. However, in this situation, queen e8 check, it's the move. And after rook takes on e8, rook takes on e8, bishop f8, we could have bishop a3, attacking this knight, threatening the checkmate. So knight d7, defending the bishop on f8, and after rook on from 1 to e7, probably c5 to cover that diagonal, but then we have rook d7 taking the knight, and queen d1 trying to fork the king and the knight, king h2, queen d4 captures this knight, rook on d8, and white is just easily winning here. There is nothing black can do to save this bishop, so white are much better here. So this is why black really have to watch out after this continuation. So queen on h5, congratulations to everybody who found that move. You play better than 21 years old Ossip Bernstein. So if you are in this age or younger, I see the bright future for you. And Ossip Bernstein in this situation play bishop takes on h2 check, and that's actually a blunder. After king takes on h2, we could have rook on h6. We had actually in that game, and it looks pretty dangerous for white. But after king g1, queen e5, so now we have some interesting stuff here. White have knight move on f3. That's what Rubinstein play, and it's still very good move. Queen h5, threatening the checkmate again. King f1. There is the only one move which still keeps white position better, even it doesn't look like. But after check on h1, we have just simple knight on g1. In this situation, Bernstein play rook on g6 and threatening, of course, checkmate again. And this is a very critical situation for white. So now feel free to pause video again and find the winning continuation for white, for Rubinstein, how he can easily win this game, while I enjoy my cup of tea. Okay, ready? Are you ready? So Rubinstein could play g3. This is correct move. However, it's not the strongest. It's still, the game would still continue and would have many issues. But if you find queen on h3 and forcing to exchange the queens, yeah, you are just better. You are just up the minor piece, and then yeah, that's easy win for white. So that was the correct move. For example, rook on h6, queen h1, rook h1, and the game continues. It's nothing here. Anything can be played. Of course not f3, because after check, then that would be not really great line, but anything else like c4 or bishop c1 or even g3 is pretty okay with the plan with moving the king. It's pretty okay for white. So this was the continuation. But in this position, Rubinstein blunder f4, and f4 just losing the game. And now the g2 pawn is defended. Yeah, it's defended, but find the move now. Pause for the third time. Sorry for asking you 3 times in a row during last, I don't know, couple of minutes, but this is really interesting how the only one line is the strongest line. And here I think if we switch the colors, try to find the best move for Ossip Bernstein, while I enjoy my cup of tea one more time. So the winning continuation for black is actually rook on g6, and there is nothing, completely nothing white can do. So in this position, actually, Akiba Rubinstein resigned the game. So 1 point for Bernstein after he blundered. He got lucky to, get counter blunder by Rubinstein. Both of them were young. For both of them, this was the first tournament. They were very excited. And one more thing, Chigorin said on that tournament that he was very interested in the games of Rubinstein and Bernstein and Salve, as he see the great future for these players after he, became quite old. So yeah, and why did he resign? The best continuation for white would be probably sacrifice this queen. So the queen actually can't be moved. If white try to play, I don't know, queen b5 attacking and trying to checkmate, there is a forced mate in 3 moves, and it's quite nice mate. We have rook on f3, and there is nothing can be done. Knight g3, king f2, and checkmate on h2, and yeah. So Rubinstein saw all of that. He has to sacrifice his queen and play without queen, so he just decided to give up this position, and yeah, we have a point for young Bernstein, and yeah, and tournament continue. So, as always, I put this game in studies, the link in the description to studies on lichess.org. This video is a bit longer than I expected. The game is not really long, but there are quite interesting lines, which we can try to find the best moves. And however, of course, Ossip Bernstein, live, it's so interesting that I wanted to share with you all the cool stories and interesting life of his, as I focus on chess history as well as the great games. So yeah, that's being said, feel free to like if you like this video, and unlike, of course, if you don't like. And I'm waiting for more comments from you. And I really read all comments. I enjoy all of them. I wait for your suggestion about this channel. If you want to, see other content, also let me know. Now I focus on Rubinstein series, but I am open for anything you are interested. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.